Robin Evans, and welcome to the Jewish Cooking Connection. Today we're going to make a holiday dish, something for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It's called honey cake, or traditionally in Yiddish, lekach. Now this recipe is kind of important to me. When I was a little girl growing up, my grandmother and my aunt used to go to the Fairfax bakeries and bring us a honey cake. It always came in a loaf. It always had chopped or actually sliced almonds on top, and it was always one of my favorite things. Because they are no longer here, and I no longer go to the Fairfax bakeries, I decided a number of years ago to make my own. So I looked up a number of recipes, found one, changed it, made it to my liking, and I'm going to share that with you today. So it's actually a very simple recipe. You don't even need a mixer. You could do this and you can cook it either in a loaf pan, which I always do because that's tradition, or you can do it in a round pan, which a lot of people like to do. So the first thing you're going to do is I've got 3 eggs that I'm going to beat together. Like we do, we always put our eggs in a separate container so that we can make sure that it doesn't have any blood, that it's fresh, and then we add it to the rest of our eggs. So I'm going to put that here. And we're just going to beat the eggs really well. You don't have to do it for a long time, but they really have to be beaten well. So once the eggs are well beaten, you're going to add a cup of white sugar, and you're going to keep that going. And then you're going to add a half a cup of oil and a half a cup of honey. It's important to add the oil first because you then can put in the honey in the same half cup measure and it won't stick. So you put in a half a cup of oil and a half a cup of honey. I lightened up this recipe a little bit because sometimes the honey cakes can be very greasy or very oily, and I don't really care for that. Typically, a Jewish recipe will be made with oil instead of with butter. And the reason for that is, of course, then you can have it with meat or milk, and it doesn't, it's parve. So this comes right out. You don't have to, it doesn't stick. And now we're going to mix that up together. Okay, I'll move that out of the way. So the next thing we put in is 1 cup of warm coffee. And you're thinking, why would I put coffee in this? You don't taste the coffee when it's done, but it gives a very deep, rich flavor. And it also makes the coffee, or makes the honey cake taste richer. Now, you can use leftover coffee. You can use decaf or regular. You can use your Keurig, but I just use instant coffee. And I think you just add 1 teaspoon of instant coffee into some warm water, and that's it. And then you just use a cup of that. And now you're going to mix that up until it's really well mixed. When I was a kindergarten teacher at Temple Beth David many years ago, I used to do this with the kids. And in order for us to get it done really fast, we would bake it in little cake cups. And the kids would really enjoy doing that. And then we'd only have to bake them in the oven for 15 minutes. But today we're going to make it in a much more traditional style. Okay, so that's done. Super easy. And And now we're going to take and do our dry ingredients. So in another bowl, I'm going to put 3.5 cups of flour. This is just all-purpose flour. I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Anytime you have honey, you have to have baking soda. That balances out the acid in the base. Produces carbon dioxide, makes it lighter. Okay, so you just mix it up together. And now I'm going to put in my spices. So these are the spices that I like. I use a teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/2 teaspoon of ginger, and about 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And let me tell you about nutmeg. Most people use pre-ground nutmeg, but I like to use the nutmeg that comes in with its own little grater. It's very nice. It smells really great, and you just grate it, and it's very, very fresh. One of the things though is it's stronger. So if you're going to use, for the first time, use this, use half what you usually use because it's a lot stronger. Okay, so now we're just going to get that mixed together. You don't have to sift it. You don't have to make a big deal out of it. It's very simple. And now you're just going to take your wet ingredients, put them into your dry ingredients, and you're going to mix it up. So you're just going to take the same whisk and just whisk it together until all of the flour is incorporated. It does not, you'll know it's done when you don't see any more flour. Okay, you can see it just takes you a couple of seconds. It's all together. That's it. You don't have to overmix it. Okay, so now I'm going to take my 2 pans and I'm going to use some vegetable spray. Just prepare like that. And you're just going to put this, you're going to divide it in half and fill up your pans so they're even. And it will basically fill up to about the halfway point. These pans are a little bigger than average. They're 9 by 5. Okay, I'm going to get my spatula. And that's it. Okay, so now I'm just going to tap these down, and I'm going to take a 1/2 cup of sliced almonds, and I'm going to divide them between the 2 cakes. Now you don't have to put these on if you don't like nuts, or you could add other nuts if you prefer other nuts. But my tradition was always to have sliced almonds on the top. You can also put some inside the batter if you want to do that, but I don't do that. Okay, so once that's done, you're going to put them Oh, one of the things I like to do is in all of my baking, I always take a paper towel and just clean off the sides so that nothing sticks. And then you just put it in a 350-degree oven, which hopefully you've preheated your oven, and we'll bake this for about 40 to 45 minutes. So I will do that. Okay, so then I think it's time to look at our honey cake. And this is what it looks like. I wish you could smell this because it smells amazing. One of the things you have to do is let it cool. And then once it's cooled, you can take it out of the pan. And it's not only good for dessert, but I really like it for breakfast with a little cream cheese. So I hope you will enjoy making this lekach. And we always have something sweet to wish for a sweet new year. And I hope you will enjoy making this honey cake. Thank you.
כל המעשים ברוך ומבורך בפי כל נשמה גדלו וטובו מלא עולם דעת ותבונה סובבים אותו המתגאה על חיות הקודש ונדע בכבוד המרכבה זכות ומשול לפני חיסו חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו